your heating and cooling needs, call Services Unlimited. Proudly serving Council Grove and the surrounding areas for over 35 years, supporting your Council Grove Braves and wishing them the best this season.
All right, welcome in, Braves fans, coming to you live from the campus of Central Heights for Game 6 as your 4-1 Council Grove Braves will take on the 1-4 Central Heights Vikings. Want to wish both teams the best of luck tonight. We're streaming on the Flint Hills Live channel on TCT, and as of right now, got to give a shout-out to Central Heights. We've got an excellent setup here, and the internet is rolling really, really well, so it looks like we should be able to have audio and video broadcast. Mindy's knocking on wood right now as we speak. I'd like to introduce, speaking of Mindy, familiar person behind the scenes, Mindy Andrews, technical supervisor and camera operator, and our color man, Jason Heath. And I'm Justin Carlson, beyond the play-by-play. And again, got to give a shout-out to Central Heights, fixing us up just right here in an air-conditioned booth, ready for playing some football tonight. We're going to sneak away here for a little bit, get you our weekly coaches show with Coach Darren Reddick, which is sponsored by the Council Grove Republican. You're listening to the pregame show on the Flint Hills Live channel on TCT.
The Deuce.
This is Justin Carlson, the play-by-play voice of the Council Grove Braves on the Flint Hills Live channel on TCT. Our weekly coaches show is sponsored by the Council Grove Republican. I'm excited to welcome your head coach for the Braves in his first season, head coach Darren Reddick. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Hey, Coach Reddick, again, thanks so much for taking the time to visit with me today. Braves suffered their first loss of the season to Osage City last week, a combination of some untimely turnovers and penalties and kind of running into a red-hot offense in the Indians. Aside from the offensive defense in the loss, what are some of the things that you can still take away from last Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't all bad, even though the score kind of seemed like it was all bad. We had some positive moments. You know, the beginning of the game, we had a shot play. Honestly, defensively, although we gave up 43 points, I felt like we were more sound and what we were doing inside of our scheme. Just kind of what you said. I think we ran into a red-hot team that's very talented, one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the state, and you don't have a lot of margin for error there. And we just made too many errors to hang in that game. So yeah.
Okay, and then shifting gears to offensively moving forward, you had mentioned it. Blaze had a few pretty good runs, and then there's some pretty deep, passes at work. Is that something that you're going to continue doing? You like having that balance between the combination of the run and the pass moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it honestly depends week by week. I mean, we're a very game plan based offense. Where we see weaknesses, what we think are weaknesses in the opponent, and we kind of match up to that. And we never really go into a game saying, hey, we need to be 50-50, run pass, or 75-25 run pass or whatever. We just kind of base that on the opportunities we see as they lay out there.
Okay, and then defensively, there's a kind of fine line between bringing pressure against a team that likes to throw the deep ball, and without giving away too much, just kind of what your feelings or your approach is going to be. Do you just rush 3 or 4, drop 7 or 8 with the occasional blitz, or do you dial up a lot more pressure? I'm not sure if you're going to face another quarterback like Parsons, but moving forward with your personnel that you have, what's kind of the best way that you feel like to slow a team down that just loves to throw the deep ball?
Yeah, I think Osage forced us to sit in our base defense for the most part. We run a lot of Tampa cover 2 variations, so we had to kind of sit in that and play the 3 to 4 man rush game. We tried to play a little bit of man, I think about 3 plays, and we'd like to be able to do that more, and we just haven't had a lot of success yet in it this year. But in order to do that, you have to pressure. Typically send at least 5. And we did that, and we had success a time or 2. And then one of those plays we did that was that shot play. It was a shot play downfield, a 60-yard touchdown pass. So if you're going to do that, you have to be able to land your pressures, because it's tough to ask any defensive back to guard for, 4 or 5 seconds in man coverage. So it's something we have to continue to improve on, and we have to be a little bit more versatile on the defensive side of the football, and just kind of get back to our roots and continue to improve. That's the goal.
Okay. And again, coming into this week, obviously get a little down in the dumps with the loss against Osage City. But new week, new opponent, and obviously had an opportunity to have a good practice last night on Tuesday. How do you feel like the guys have responded? And, there's still a great opportunity with just a huge high ceiling for this team. And how'd the guys respond this week in practice?
Which we've only gotten 2 days, but Monday at film, kids were very positive. They were receptive to the constructive criticism we gave them, and obviously there's a lot of criticism to be given after a game like that. But our kids responded well to that on Monday, and then yesterday's practice, Tuesday evening, was one of our better practices. I think the kids are bouncing back well. We know that we played a great team. That doesn't necessarily define our season. Obviously, you see the score, and it's embarrassing as a coach. It's embarrassing as a player. But we got, like you said, we got a lot in front of us. We're still competing to host a home playoff game potentially, or get into the playoffs. We set ourselves in the right position with that victory over Riley County. So there's a lot of good in front of us. Last year we went 1-3 in district, and we made it to the Final Four, and we just kind of keep reminding those kids that regardless what adversity hits, there's opportunities to be had if you keep chasing that. So, again, a lot to look forward to still.
Okay. And this Friday night, the Braves will make the long trip to Central Heights for a non-district game. The Vikings are coming in at 1-4, getting their first win of the season in a lopsided fashion over struggling West Franklin. What do you think Central Heights is going to bring offensively? And then on your side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball, what are some areas that you see that you can attack their defense?
Yeah, I think offensively, Central Heights in a lot of ways has improved at running the football this year. They do some stuff with their scheme that does bring challenges to what we run defensively, and it forces us to be very disciplined. But defensively for them, they've given up. I think it's around 20-ish points a game. So we're gonna have to, and that's not a bad number for this point in the year. We're gonna have to be disciplined on offense. We're gonna have to take care of the football. There's some opportunities to be had in both the pass and the run game. But again, I think it's just getting back to what our basics are on our offense and our defense, and just being sound there. Controlling those things we can control, the penalties, the execution. I talk about eye discipline all the time on defense. We just need to get back to the basics of our install before we head into some tough district play.
Okay. Coach Reddick, again, I want to wish you the best of luck Friday night as you head on the road to take on the Central Heights Vikings. Good luck.
Thank you.
That was our weekly press conference with your head football coach, Darren Reddick, on the Flint Hills Live channel on TCT, sponsored by the Council Grove Republican. All right, welcome back, Braves fans. And again, thank you, Mindy. And again, shout out to Coach Reddick and the Council Grove Republican for this week's weekly press conference. Shifting gear here and talk about other sports that are occurring in Council Grove High School. The Council Grove cross-country team had the week off, and they are going to be competing tomorrow at the Riley County Invitational in Leonardville, and postseason play has been announced, and they will be participating in the regional at Wichita Trinity. Tough regional set up there for your cross-country runners, and next week we'll give you a more detailed description of all the teams that are in that, maybe give you some ideas of where the teams are setting up, and maybe where some of the individuals are setting up as well for that setup. Moving on to the girls volleyball team, coached by Milo Swift, and got her second win of the season after knocking off Harrington. They ended up beating Peabody, and they are currently in the 16 seed of that 16-team regional, and that will be the Royal Valley Regional that will be occurring here in a couple weeks. Next up for the Lady Braves is going to be the Flint Hills League Tournament, which will take place at Mission Valley, and that will be tomorrow. Shifting gears to our girls golf team, coached by Eric Carter. They went to the Mar Hill Invitational. The team finished third, with Mar Hill winning the 18-hole event. Individual scores: in third place, Haley Grant with a 99. Again, these are 18 holes, not 9. So third place for Haley Grant with a 99. Mackenzie Grant with a 102. In 11th place, Desiree Bakura with a 109. Taylor Tiffany finished with a 117. Breckin McEwen with a 119, and Giada Plemmer with a 129. Next up for the Lady Braves is going to be a trip on Monday for the 321A Golf Regional at Cypress Ridge Golf Course in Topeka, and that will be hosted by Silver Lake. And then again, that will be Monday, October 13th, and the tee time will be at 9 a.m. I want to wish the girls best of luck as they head to their regional competition. Hopefully we can get an entire team to state, and if not, just at least a few individuals would be great. Again, shifting gears here and going to go the reason why we made the trip over here to rural Richmond, Kansas on the campus of Central Heights High School. Your Braves are coached by Darren Reddick, offensive coordinator Butch Hayes, and the other coaches on the staff are Brock Finch and Jay Semeka. Coming off one of the best runs in program history, making the Final Four in the 2A playoffs, program has set one heck of a foundation to continue having big-time success in the football program. Give you some updates if this is one of the first times that you are watching and listening to the broadcast live. Get you up to date on how the season has gone thus far. Took on Wabaunsee in Week 1, won 26-7. Game 2 at Mission Valley, probably their most complete performance of the season, won 41-0 over the Vikings. Game 3 got a home win over Topeka Careparavale, 39-7. Game 4, a 28-26 hold-on victory against Riley County. And last week ran into the red-hot and arguably one of the best teams, not only in 2A but in the state, lost 43-0 to the Osage City Indians. And then we move to tonight, taking on the Central Heights Vikings over here in Central Heights. Give you an update for the district and current standings. Osage City sitting at 1-0 in district play. Silver Lake also undefeated at 1-0. St. Mary's is 1-1. Council Grove with a 1-1 record. And Riley County is 0-2. Games tonight occurring in district play. Osage City will host St. Mary's, and Silver Lake will travel to Riley County. Give you some updated stats here, offensively and defensively. We're going to shift it over to Jason and get you fired up for the night. Offensive updated stats. Junior quarterback Luke Stewart, 272 yards passing, 2 TDs on 4 interceptions. Also with a ton of offensive stats in the quarterback position, Reed Butchery, 505 yards passing, 8 TDs on 1 interception. Your leading rushers are Blaze French with 220 and 3 touchdowns. Reed Butchery, 181 and 3 touchdowns. Bradley Dornbos, 141 and 1. Your receiving leaders, junior Grady Kepley with 215 yards and 2 TDs. Fellow junior Mason Samuels with 188 and 4 TDs. Sophomore Logan Stockwell with 3 and 97. Saeed Smith-Jenkins, 77 yards receiving and 1 TD. And Blaze French, the running back, with 68 yards and 1 TD. Defensive leaders, your tackle leaders are David McDiffett with 56. Caden Schmidt with 35, Bradley Dornbos 27, Reed Butchery with 24, and Mason Samuels with 19. Interceptions, you got Reed Butchery, Logan Stockwell, Mason Samuels, Blaze French, with each having 1 interception. Your sack leaders, Bradley Dornbos with 3, Reed, Mason, Saeed, and Ty King with 1, and Caden Hewitt and Maddox Ziegler have combined for 1 sack. Going to shift things over back to Jason. When we return, I'll give you kind of a setup and what I think we're going to be able to see from the Central Heights Vikings. Jason.
Well, we won't talk about it for very long. We'll talk about Osage City for 1 minute here. Braves lose last week 43-0 on our home field, and Rick kind of ran into a buzzsaw. And listening to Coach Reddick, we want to put that one away. We want to get over here and be efficient, get rid of the penalties and some of those things. Braves still nursing a couple injuries. Gunnar Gleason with the high ankle sprain. He'll go again tonight. Still trying to work through week to week, getting that thing a little better. Won't see Bradley Dornbos tonight out there. He suffered an injury against Osage City that'll keep him probably out this game, and hopefully see him back later against St. Mary's. But we talked a lot last week as the game wore on, about momentum and some of the mistakes we were making and getting things right in district play. Braves did run into some trouble against a hot Osage City team, but you've got everything out in front of you. You've got a game over here. We're getting ready to play here at Central Heights, and a couple district opponents. Got 1 win in the district already, so you've got everything out in front of you to get into the playoffs and really shake some things up like you did last year. And this coaching staff's going to be looking to make adjustments. They're going to make some adjustments defensively. They're going to try to be more efficient offensively, probably mix in a little more pass and do some of those things. So, man, I hate to call it this, but I think this is kind of a get right game. You kind of you get over here on the road and you try to lick your wounds a little bit after going up against that Osage City squad. But yeah, I think the Braves are excited just to get out there, get the contact, shake that thing off, and get ready to play some football. We probably will, with Bradley being out, we'll see some defensive alignment changes. Probably move Reed Buttrey to the middle more than likely. We'll get into that as we see some of the first defensive sets and try to fill that big gap that it leaves not having Bradley out there in that lineup and hopefully get some guys some more snaps tonight and get ourselves ready as we move on into more of this district competition.
All right, and thank you, Jason. And your opponent tonight, the Central Heights Vikings, again coming in with a record of 1-4. They have losses to Jayhawk Lynn, Bluestem, Uniontown, and Pleasanton. And their win came last week, a 40-18 dominant win over West Franklin. Offensive stat leaders for the Vikings: quarterback junior number 17 Chase Bones with 224 yards, 2 TDs, and 4 interceptions. Almost sounds identical stats to Luke Stewart. Their rushing leaders are Gage Piney, 510 yards and 3 TDs. Max Christian with 220 yards, 2 TDs. Their receiving leaders mainly like to go to number 14, Colt King, with 148 yards and 2 TDs. Defensive leading tacklers are Max Christian at 53 and Gage Piney with 30. We're going to go ahead and sneak away here for a little bit. Going to check with a wonderful staff up here and find out when we're going to be doing the national anthem. And I'm going to try to sweet talk somebody to turn on the lights on the field when we return. You're listening to the pregame show on the Flint Hills Life channel at TCT.
The Deuce.
620-767-5119 or apply online at www.alcagen.com/careers. Adams Home Store has been family owned and operated since 1969. They offer construction services for custom homes, outbuildings, boat docks, and more. Adams carries supplies for farmers and ranchers and has a big inventory of grilling, boating, and camping accessories. Located at 203 East Main in Council Grove, go Braves! Together with